This Week in Connecticut with Dennis House starts now.
Welcome to This Week in Connecticut. Greetings, everyone. I'm Dennis House. Cracking down on people putting kids in danger by passing school buses. We're joined by the Commissioner of the Department of Motor Vehicles, Tony Guerrera. Election 2025, a preview with columnist Kevin Rennie. And also meet podcaster Jared Kotler, who covers UConn, and that's not all. First up on This Week, the lead, the dangers on the roads as the DMV cracks down on drivers who illegally pass school buses. Joining me now is the Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Motor Vehicles, Tony Guerrera. And thank you so much, Commissioner Guerrera, for being on the program.
Thank you for having me, Dennis.
Always good to see you. And today we're going to talk about school buses because it's School Bus Safety Week.
Yes, it is.
What's the message you want people who are watching today to know?
Well, I think there's two parts to it, right? It's about the drivers that drive the school bus, and obviously it's the safety that all of us, when we're driving our vehicles, to make sure that when we're behind a school bus or in front of a school bus, that we're obeying the laws. And I'm finding that so many people are trying to circumvent those laws by driving around the school bus when the lights are on. Mm-hmm. And I want them to understand that these are children that are coming off the bus or entering the bus and could have some serious injuries if they're not following the law.
My son is going through the license process right now, so I've been teaching him all these things. So what exactly are the rules? So you can't pass a school bus, correct?
You cannot pass a school bus when the lights are on.
Okay.
All right.
Of course, and that's what the stop sign pops out, correct?
Right. Usually the lights go on, you'll see the flashing lights, and then the stop sign will obviously jet out on the left-hand side of the school bus where the driver is, and then the bar will come swinging across, all right? And you can't proceed until the stop sign comes back in and the lights go off.
And that's both directions, right?
Both directions.
So even behind or if you're approaching the school bus.
Yes.
How frequent are school bus accidents?
Well, they're not often, but when they do happen, they could be serious, Dennis. As we know, we've had fatalities on some accidents, and we had some serious injuries when school bus accidents occur.
And so, obviously there are busy times for school buses to and from in the afternoon. What's the enforcement like right now?
Well, we have a great police force out there. Obviously, we got the state police, we got local police, which mostly it is local police, people that are out there monitoring the school areas and so forth, that people do abide it. But we ask people like yourselves or any citizen that sees someone to circumvent and drive around a school bus, if they happen to get the plate, report it and let us do our due diligence.
What kind of training or special licenses does a school bus driver need?
That's a very good question. They go through a very rigorous training. They have to understand the rules of the road. They have to understand the proficiency of what that means to drive a school bus, the safety checks around the school bus. When you're in the bus and you're coming up to a railroad crossing, how do you handle that? And then, we also do background checks. And we do a huge fingerprint check on all of our drivers.
Yeah, I've never driven a school bus, but bus drivers have told me that they're not exactly nimble vehicles, right?
No.
The turning radius is larger, things like that. What else should people know?
I just think, again, that when you're behind a school bus, be prepared to stop. Because any given moment, they could be coming around. There's a child that's waiting to go on that school bus or it's waiting to exit off the school bus. And it's so important to obey the laws.
Before we get to teen driving, I want to talk a little bit about speeding because it certainly has been an epidemic and you've been talking about it all the time and the DOT's been cracking down with the one-way drivers and so forth. Is the situation getting any better?
I think it is, Dennis. I mean, I'm seeing more of a presence of our police force out there. I think many people like ourselves, when they see something that people are weaving in and out, they happen to get the plate, they call the state police or local police. And I think finally people have had enough of it, to be quite honest with you. They're saying something that, here I am driving at the speed limit, but it's a person that's out of control that could cause a major accident or fatalities.
It's stunning, too, because you talk about the fatalities. This past weekend in Hartford, there were 2 crashes, one in Asylum, one in Albany. These are 2 major roads, but the speed limit on both of them, I believe, is 25.
Yeah.
And yet there were 2 serious crashes. One was deadly.
Yeah, one was a fatality. You're absolutely correct.
So what is the rule from town to town? On most town roads, it's 25, right?
It depends. I mean, usually they run between 25 to 45 miles an hour on the local road.
Max, pretty much.
Right. And then you get your 50 if it's a state-run road that goes through the town, like whatever it may be. A New Britain Avenue, say in Rocky Hill, might be a 45. But something that's a state road might have a higher speed limit.
Like the South Highway or something?
Exactly. But local roads are usually between 20 to 40 or 45.
As I'm teaching my son, not everyone uses the crosswalk, and people sometimes step up behind cars, so you really have to be.
And that's a very good point, Dennis. I mean, I'm a big walker. I tend to obey the laws when it comes to that. But also, as pedestrians, we have to be careful too, that when we step off that crosswalk, to make sure that that car sees you, kind of wave and before you cross over.
And distracted pedestrians are a problem too. You see them in the the crosswalk, or not even in the crosswalk, not even looking to see what's going on. Let's talk a little bit about teen driving. Sure. And I know in the spring you do a big video campaign, and so kids can enter right now. Tell me about that.
Sure, we've been doing this for a number of years. In fact, we mentioned it on your show a few times. But this is a great event. What it does, it promotes teen driving laws, and this contest is done with its own teen peers. People that are within the same age, they present a type of video, and then the top 3 videos receive an award that we partner with the travelers. And the governor, Governor Lamont is huge in regards to making sure that we keep doing things like this that prevent accidents and make sure that teens understand the rules of the road.
Do teens cause the majority of the crashes?
No, not really.
Okay.
In fact, the fatalities have dropped
because
since
of the
2022. After COVID hit, we had a little bit of a spike, Dennis, but we're seeing it now back on the decline because of parents talking to their kids, video contests and awareness that are out there.
So how do kids get involved in this video contest?
They can obviously go on our website. They can call Ernie Bertolfi from the DMV.
Local schools ringing off the hook this week.
That's it. And local schools know about it because Ernie's out there, Bertolfi is out there working with a lot of schools and a lot of people that put this together with the travelers. And it's going to be a big event, and we're excited about doing it.
And the incentives are pretty good.
$26,000 that's spread amongst the winners.
That's not bad at all. That's
not bad at all. But the most important thing, Dennis, is that it's their own peers that are doing this. As parents, we can say whatever we want, but sometimes when they hear it from their own friends and they see it and they talk to them, it has a big effect on them.
So the age for driving in Connecticut is 16 for a permit and 16 and a half roughly for a license. How does that compare to other states?
Oh, we're right in the same, basically it's about the same across the United States here.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about licenses because I know over time you've been trying to streamline the process to renew licenses and things like that. Where does that stand right now?
We had the Real ID. As you know, back in the summer, we had a huge bump in that. A lot of people were scrambling to get the Real ID. Now we're seeing a decline in that. For the majority, we're almost close to 78% of the majority of citizens in Connecticut have the Real ID compliant. So we're starting to see that appointments are back out there, and people can also walk in the mornings if they want to get something done.
And a while back, the governor had said that he wanted to be able to have the driver's license in the Apple Wallet. Where does that stand? Because 10 states do it roughly, right?
Yeah, right now it's about 7 to 10 states. We are going to be announcing hopefully something very soon. But
you can announce it here if you want.
Well, again, I'll let the governor do that.
Okay.
All right, when it's ready. But again, I think that those states that did it were the first ones to come out with that mobile ID. Had some difficulties, Dennis, with TSA, so they had to go back and readjust what the programs are, the safety concerns. So it was good that we Connecticut waited a little bit before we did this to iron out all the bugs.
The most recent new license plate that the state has added is the pizza plate. How is that selling?
Oh, it's a big one.
And that goes to food share, correct?
Absolutely. Well, it doesn't go to food share.
Well, there's a portion of it, right?
I think in this legislative session, they're looking to put some of that money into that food share. But again, people are buying them off the shelves right now.
Good to hear. All right. The Commissioner of the DMV, Tony Guerrero, thank you so much for being with us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
As always. And when we come back, a preview of Election Day coming up. Joining me now is former state senator, former state representative Kevin Rennie, former Republican lawmaker back in the day, also a columnist for the Hartford Courant and the author of the popular website Daily Ructions, which is celebrating 15 years this year.
15 years. over 3,000 posts.
3,000 posts.
People
Congratulations.
Thank you. People have been very generous.
Always big stories in there. You really have to read that.
That's where Connecticut's news begins.
And of course, the Hartford Courant's, what, 300 years old? Right?
Yes, the nation's oldest continuously published newspaper.
So let's begin with the elections that are coming up in November, the municipal elections, cities and towns. Not a lot of big ones this year, right? I mean, Hartford doesn't have one. And
Well, New Haven has one.
yes, New Haven does have one.
Right, but Hartford has gone to 4-year terms.
And I want to ask you a little bit about the New Haven race because we've had both candidates on recently, Steve Orozco, the Republican, and Justin Eliger, the Democrat. And I was reading that the last time that a Democratic mayor was unseated by a Republican was during World War II.
I'm surprised it was surprised it was that recent. Well, except there's something else, another statistic on New Haven's voted for Dwight Eisenhower in the 50s.
Interesting.
I think the last time, pretty sure the
Last time they
it
went
supported a Republican for president. And President Eisenhower's appeal, we've forgotten over these many years, but it was really a phenomenon. And to do it twice in a row was remarkable.
Why do you think Democrats maintain such control over Hartford and New Haven in the elections?
Well,
because the last Republican mayor in Hartford was the 60s. It's been a while.
And Usella,
And
that's
Usella,
right.
yeah.
I think that some of it is, a lot of people moved to the suburbs and either were Republicans or became Republicans in the suburbs, and people in the cities that made a larger percentage as Democrats. And I just think culturally, our politics, our culture moved together, that a lot of the groups that live in our cities are just more inclined to be Democrats, and Republicans have struggled. I think the last time we had a statewide Republican primary, I think there were fewer than 1,000 votes or 2,000 votes cast in our major cities.
Yeah, the turnout's low.
It's really,
It
it's not good for anybody.
It only takes 10,000 votes to get elected in Hartford or New Haven, thereabouts.
Well,
Yeah.
it took, I think, in the last primary for mayor of Hartford, I think it took 3,000 votes for the winner. He got in the primary, and of course, you win the primary, you're going to win the election.
That is how you spell apathy, isn't it?
Yes.
So you're fully expecting Justin Eliger to be reelected?
Oh, yes, yes.
Let's talk about some of the other cities and
All
towns.
right. Let's talk about Bristol.
Bristol's a rematch.
Bristol is a rematch. It is Jeff Caggiano, who defeated, a few years ago, Ellen Zappo-Sassu, who was the mayor, has had a long sort of career in politics. There have been, I don't know if you've reported, but there have been signs, lawn signs all over Bristol of people saying how much their taxes have gone up. We've had a real differential. Commercial property is less valuable. Residential property is much more valuable. And so the tax burden has shifted.
And there's someone who would argue that Bristol's on the upswing. There's been a lot of new development, a lot
Yes.
of companies coming to town.
Yes, the state has been very generous to Bristol.
So what do you think is going to happen there?
I have to say, Ellen Zappo, as I first knew her, now it's Sassu, she is a really hard worker, and she's raising impressive amounts of money.
And she went to Enfield for a while to be
She
the town
went to Enfield
manager.
after she lost,
Okay.
and then when the Enfield town council went to the Republicans, she left. And I think she's probably got the wind in her sails, but and I don't mean to equivocate, but Jeff Caggiano is also a hard worker. Of course, he defeated her 4 years ago. So, but I do think that this is not the best time for Republicans, and that's traditionally in the first year of a party's having the White House. It is often not a very good year for their candidates.
Well, let's talk about this. This is the first year of the second Trump term.
Yes.
And a lot of candidates are being asked, would you want Donald Trump to campaign for you? Do you support Donald Trump? And that is a big question out there.
It is. It is. Bristol, for a large Connecticut municipality, is kind of Republican, but some of this will be driven by enthusiasm. The party that is out of the White House, they tend to have more enthusiasm in these off-year elections.
Let's also talk about, what else do you have on your list?
Well,
of
I was
towns
going
you
to
wanna
say,
watch?
we have to talk about Ansonia, because
David Cassetti.
David Cassetti had his tire slashed in his driveway. His wife is hounding him on social media, which you don't see very often. I think he called her deranged. I mean, it's one of those things that,
Only in Connecticut.
you know, well, or only in sort of crazy Naugatuck Valley politics. And then he sort of suggested that on the edge of the downtown recently, that maybe a industrial site could be converted to a trash burning plant, which, you know, everybody gets. Those are trouble when it comes to siting them, but certainly not siting them in densely populated areas. He's had to pull back on that, but his campaign has been accident prone.
And he ran for state senator and lost.
State rep.
State rep last year.
Yes.
There you go, and lost that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, because
By the way, that was an ugly campaign, really, even by any standard, a hideously ugly campaign.
So a lot of politicos in the state and political journalists would like to just get past this so they can start talking about the governor's race and the congressional races in 2026. So let's talk about Governor Lamont. He hasn't officially announced yet, but he's going to.
We expect him to. If he weren't going to run, he probably would have announced before now.
And what do you think about the Republican side? Obviously, Jen Tooker dropped out this week, and now we've got Aaron Stewart and Ryan Fazio. Where do you see that race going?
Well, they are two candidates with supporters. They are legitimate candidates. Aaron Stewart probably by this morning will have raised $350,000, the most ever, for her exploratory campaign for governor. That is a significant achievement, and it takes a lot of work. Ryan Fazio, who has just started, over $100,000 seems in his first report, which will be filed soon. These are serious candidates. And they will be, the test, I think, will be as they go out to Republican activists and present themselves.
Is that the Republican field, or do you expect anyone else to jump in?
I think that's it.
That will be it. All right. Kevin Rennie, as always, we appreciate your insight on this program.
Thank you for inviting me.
You can read his work on dailyructions.com and also the Hartford Courant every Sunday. We appreciate you being here.
Yes, or on Saturdays when it goes up online.
That's true. It does go out before the print copy. Because a lot of people still
push me up that most viewed list. Yes.
There we go. After the break, meet a local podcaster covering UConn and beyond. With me now is the founder and the host of Connecticut Scoreboard, one of the best sports podcasts out there across Connecticut, Jared Kotler.
Hey, Dennis, thanks so much for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Well, great to see you here.
Excited to be here. Talk sports.
So how old is your podcast now?
Yeah, the podcast is 6 years old, believe it or not. It's crazy. Started back in 2019.
I remember when you started it.
Yeah, you were one of my first guests, Dennis.
I'm honored to be on it.
I remember, just starting it back then was when everyone was starting to come up with a podcast. It seemed like everyone and their brother out there was coming up with one. I just always had the idea, hey, Connecticut's got a great sports scene that sometimes goes a little under the radar. We're in between Boston and New York. Those teams get a lot of coverage. There's a lot of sports action here in Connecticut, and it's been great getting to build this over the past 6 years here.
And podcasts are not easy. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. It does. Between the research to prep for interviews, edit it, and now podcasts, just like everything else, are turning more and more visual. So posting episodes to YouTube where people can actually see
people want to see you now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
What's your day job? What do you do what's your career?
Yeah, I'm in marketing and communications.
Okay,
I've been in a number of places. So, it's always come second nature to me to just enjoy talking with people, and the podcast has been a great extension and giving me the opportunity to talk to some really cool people.
So let's talk about the Connecticut sports scene right now. We're going into basketball season. We're still in the middle of UConn football season. They're having a pretty good year, actually.
Yeah, they are. For UConn football, when we're talking now, they're 5-2, which has been great. Just had a big win over a rival in Boston College over the weekend on Saturday. And the team's really trending in the right direction, which in Connecticut, when you can talk UConn football heading into basketball season, it's always really exciting because it means the football team's doing really well. So it's been great. On the podcast, I've been lucky enough to get to talk with the quarterback of the team.
Nice.
Joe Fagnano, who's having a career year right now. So it's been really cool getting to talk to these athletes and hear from them.
Let's talk a little bit about UConn basketball looking ahead.
Yeah.
Where do you think the men's team is going this year?
Yeah, I think all signs are pointing up for this UConn men's basketball team this year. Dan Hurley's done a great job of getting this roster in good shape. You've got a great number of returning players that give you that experience who are used to playing in a system. But then he's also upgraded by bringing in some new talent from the transfer portal, which I know everyone hears that term thrown around all the time, but they've got a new point guard who's come from Georgia. So they bring in a nice group of talent this year.
And this could be their third, if they win,
Yeah.
it'll be their third in 4 years. There's no real term for that. It's not three-peat or
No, but-
three pause Pete, I don't know.
No, you could start talking dynasty, though. So,
You certainly could.
So, yeah, no technical term, but it's exciting.
What are some of the other things you talk about in the podcast?
Yeah, so I look at everything in the Connecticut sports scene. So I know UConn basketball always tends to get a lot of attention, but right now I've been going around with the podcast, going to different campuses across the state to talk with coaches and players at the other colleges and universities here in Connecticut. So we've got 7 D1 schools. So going through getting to hear their stories, there are some really cool storylines throughout the state, whether you're looking at the University of New Haven, who's transitioning to Division I.
That's big.
Yeah, it's big news. They've invested a lot in their program. They've got some local players on the team, so it really makes an exciting angle. But I also look at athletes who have grown up in Connecticut and then gone on to play professionally, for instance. I recently had a player who was from Stafford, Connecticut, grew up playing Little League there, and now is on the Miami Marlins. And you see the job he's done making the team and having a successful major league career. We've got the Travelers Championship, in June. So there's so much sports action crammed in here to such a small state in Connecticut, but it's really exciting.
And New Britain native George Springer taking the Blue Jays to the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that home run, and
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a great ambassador for the state.
As you look across the state, because we do have a rich high school scene,
Yeah.
obviously here, but also the college scene. Trinity College, their basketball team did very well.
Yeah.
And in their tournament last year, University of St. Joseph is adding women's and men's hockey, which is
It's
kind of
exciting.
big.
Yeah.
Women's hockey, where do you see that going? Because it is more popular than it was certainly when we were kids.
Yeah, I mean, women's hockey is really taking off. You look at what the UConn program's done over the past several years here. They've truly grown into a real contender, and it's exciting to see hockey grow because here in Connecticut, it's a hockey-rich state, and anytime you could get to see some quality hockey action, and they've built great new facilities for the teams up in stores that are really exciting to see.
Who's your ultimate guest? Who do you want on that show?
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe it's George Springer now.
George Springer would be good. He would be a good call, yeah.
Yeah, so George Springer would be fun now with all of the baseball stuff. But I've been truly fortunate that some of the people I grew up idolizing, I've been able to have come on the podcast. Jim Calhoun has been on.
Just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a kid in his heyday here, and I never thought I'd have 30 seconds with him, yet alone getting almost an hour to talk with him recently for an episode around his new book that just came out. So it's been really exciting to get to just talk to so many people throughout the state.
All right, I'll give you a chance to plug. Where do people watch and where do people listen?
Yeah, it's on all of the podcast players, so Spotify, Apple, you name it, iHeart. It's everywhere. And again, now with the move to visual, you can see it all on YouTube. So Connecticut Scoreboard Podcast is the name. We're on all the social media channels, CT Scoreboard Pod. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to come talk some Connecticut sports.
A great pleasure to have you on, Jared Cutler. Best of luck.
Thanks so much.
All right. We invite you to connect with us on This Week. Send us an email at thisweek@wtnh.com. Also, connect with me on social media. You can find me on X, you can find me on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook. This Week in Connecticut. We'll be right back. Thanks for sharing your time with us. Capitol Report's coming up next. I'll see you tomorrow night on the news at 6 and 11. Have a great Sunday.